G'day leaders. Do you fear judgment? In this podcast, we talk about judgment and how it impacts human beings. We talk about a new way of looking at it, that people aren't judging you, they're judging themselves through you. An interesting concept to get your head around. We also talk about fashion and how we're not actually buying fashion, we're buying confidence, and many more aspects of removing the fear of judgment. Enjoy.
Why did it count backwards? I know that we're now recording.
What? Hello, Captain.
What do I?
Come fly with me. Let's fly away.
What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. So, leadership, life, and everything else.
Yeah.
And we're live.
You're just trying to slip that in there. You know we're recording.
Yeah, you didn't notice it, did you? Oh, we're live.
We're recording.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I like your fashion today.
But I don't dress for fashion. I dress for confidence.
Yes.
It's who I want to be, who I want to turn up as is how I dress. So my theory, and I have read this, so it's not completely my idea, is that when a person says they have nothing to wear, even though their wardrobe is full, they actually have nothing that represents how they want to show up in the world that day.
Yep. I had a interesting journey in my own brain the other day about fashion and judgment and confidence, because we teach confidence in our workshops. I'm always thinking about different ways of making it real for people. And I've spoken to the kids about this over the last week. I don't think people buy fashion, they buy confidence. So I was telling the kids the other day, so let's just say everyone is wearing skinny jeans. Yeah?
Yes.
So the whole world is wearing skinny jeans, that's the fashion. And if you walked up to a punter on the street and said, oh, I like those skinny jeans, here, I've got this nice new pair of flares, would you wear them? Most people would go, oh, no, they're ugly, right? Because they're not the current fashion. But then the very next week at the Paris Fashion Show or wherever,
on TikTok or
on a TikTok or an influencer, they throw on a pair of flares, so big bell-bottom pants, right? And then they walk down the catwalk with their strut, strutting from side to side,
basically the base of their pants,
basically channeling every bit of confidence that they can have, because they, quite frankly, feel confident up there. That's what, otherwise they wouldn't look like that. And then the next week, everyone's wearing flares. Yes. But they're not wearing flares. They bought that model's confidence.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's the original. And then everyone else starts to notice, oh, flares are in now.
It's like the Emperor's new
flares
clothes,
are in. Yeah, flares are in now. So they get rid of their skinny leg jeans and they start throwing on their flares, and then we wear flares for the next couple of decades, and then all of a sudden somebody throws some skinny jeans onto a model. They walked, oh, look at that confidence. I can't believe she's wearing skinny leg jeans.
No, fashion turns over faster than that.
Yeah, I know. It's much faster now. I'm old, all right? This fast fashion stuff, this Zara stuff, I'm not aware of this. I'm still wearing clothes I had in the 80s, Michelle.
So am I.
Yeah.
Classics.
You get your
you call them classics.
But it goes back to the principle that people don't, well, this is my new principle. People don't buy fashion, they buy confidence.
Yes.
And it's all to do with this fear of judgment that human beings have.
Okay, speaking of that, let's talk Frank Green.
Okay.
Or the Stanley Cup.
What an experience that was. Yeah. So as speakers, we often get gifted stuff at the conferences. And one of the things I've always been gifted over the years, I don't know about you, Michelle, was drink bottles.
I love drink bottles.
I love a good drink bottle. And I've been gifted some beautiful drink bottles, some, thermos style where they keep things cold or hot. And I have a bucket load of them. I have a cupboard full of them. We've got drawers full of branded drink bottles.
Yes.
And then last year, what happened?
Last year, my daughter wasn't satisfied with any other drink bottle other than a Frank Green.
And it had to be a Frank Green.
It did, and she saved. She did all sorts of chores and tasks and asked for extra so that she could afford
But at first, you said no.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, we've got bottles in the drawer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it had to be a Frank Green.
That's right. And the water didn't taste as good.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be as hydrated because they weren't as large as the Frank Green that she had her eye on. Now, I refused to buy another drink bottle when we had perfectly serviceable drink bottles. I get it. It was just me, saying no.
Yeah.
And anyway, I want to see how far this went. So she did. She worked her butt off to save the money to go and buy a Frank Green. And I think it was $80-something by the time she got it engraved and all the rest, and bought the bumper.
She wasn't buying a Frank Green, though, was she?
No, she wasn't.
She was buying confidence.
Yeah.
She was buying...
and community, inclusion.
She was trying to be like everyone else.
Well, her school teachers had them. Her peers had them.
Yep.
Everybody had them. She was the only person in the entire world who did not have a Frank Green drink bottle.
According to
her, that's right.
But then now you look around the world and it's new Stanley. Is it
Stanley cup.
Stanley. Gee, they had Stanley thermoses when I was
It's
young.
110 years old, this cup.
Is it?
Yes. So it's not a new design. They come in new colours.
But what
it's
happened is
110 years old.
They jumped on the bandwagon of Frank Green, didn't they?
Well, it's amazing marketing. The marketing team, they've completely reinvented and rebranded without changing the design, just
But
the
it
colour.
is a vessel that holds water.
Or, yes, or liquid, yes.
But it had to be a Frank Green. Now it's got to be a Stanley. It's because everybody wants to be like everyone else.
I love the parodies.
Because what do we fear?
Yes, not fitting in.
Not fitting in. Judgment.
right.
That's
Yes.
what it is.
That's
Right? We're buying fashion for confidence so that we don't feel judged, so that we're like everyone else. We buy Frank Greens and Stanleys so that we fit in, so we're like everyone else. And this is a bit of a bugbear of mine that we don't grow out of it quickly enough.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
it starts in school.
yes.
You remember primary school or even preschool, right? Kids would turn up in anything. You'd see a kid walking in with one gumboot and one high heel. And, and they've grabbed their mum's lipstick and drawn a picture on their face and they walk in, check me out. And then they go to primary school and high school and they just want to be like everyone else. Even the emos who wanted to be nonconformist all looked like each other.
Oh, well, that was me at art school.
Was it?
We all dressed because we didn't want to conform to society,
Yeah.
so we all dressed in black, but we were actually conforming
You all
to our
looked the same.
non-conformist. That's right. It was silly. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural human thing that we want to feel like we belong because if you aren't belonging, there's safety in numbers. We like to feel safe in groups.
Yes.
We always lived in groups. We hung around in groups. We evolved in groups because there was safety in numbers. We're not big, fast and tough like those dangerous animals out there. And the only way we survived as a species was to have this instinct of working together and living together and belonging. And that's why, human beings don't like to be judged because if you're judged, you feel like you're separate to the group, which means that it triggers the fight or flight response because you're not safe anymore. That's where it all comes from.
So in order to release yourself from being captive by this, fashion and influences and having to usually buy the latest thing.
Which is useless because you've already got something that functions at home.
That's right.
Yeah.
We do sound old now saying that. But,
Yeah, we do. When I was a kid.
in order to get to overcome that, you really need to then stop fearing judgment.
Yeah, we've had a whole podcast on this. Confidence. Self-confidence is when you stop fearing the judgment of others. It's got nothing to do with what you're good at, your skills, your knowledge, your experience. It's basically when you stop fearing the judgment of others. It's the foundation of confidence. But regrettably, in high school, we want to be like everyone else because we fear judgment, which is a lack of confidence. And so we can't just go our own way. It's very rare to see somebody who'll just go their own way and just, buck the trend.
Yeah. You helped me the other week. I was thinking about, I had wanted to be included in a group and a professional group, and I put an application in and I was excited about, the possibility and hadn't heard the outcome. And you said to me, well, be excited that you applied and you got given the opportunity. But if it doesn't happen, they're not your group. So don't worry. It's not the end of everything. It's just, that's not your audience. That's not where you're meant to be at this time. And it's true. And often I think back about times where things haven't worked out exactly as I've planned or wanted them to. I've not got a job that I applied for, or, I put a tender out for speaking and didn't get it. But it has always, and it's just that I think there's a Seinfeld episode where it's equal. Oh, it's the opposites actually with...
opposite day?
Yeah,
with George.
opposite with George. And Elaine, they kind of switch out. But George was equal. If something bad happened to him, their replacement happened pretty well straight away, or something better. And that's how I consider things that happen. And I tell my kids this: if something doesn't happen the way that you wanted, it's because something better will come along, and it always does. I cannot think of an example where it has not.
Well, when it hasn't.
When it hasn't been better than what I originally, wanted.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, when things aren't going your way, at the other end of that is something going your way.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to last forever.
No, not at all.
Unless you're one of those people, the doomsdayers, who can't see the positive in anything.
Well, we try and instill in the kids that, stop fearing this fear of judgment. Yeah. And what if you did something completely different? You might actually be the trendsetters. You might be the ones who start the new fashion or the new trend.
Woody ice cream day.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. All right. So I'm trying to get all of the kids to not worry so much, not fear the judgment of other people. So everyone in the family owns an hoodie. Now, an hoodie is not a fashion statement. An hoodie is a blanket with sleeves that's fur-lined. It's got a hood, and it's for comfort. It's not a fashion statement.
Very, very popular during COVID.
Yep.
Work from home outfit.
Yep.
And you could, because the neck's so large, you could just kind of slip it down during a Zoom call, so it was around your waist. And then as soon as the Zoom call was over, you slip it back on and cut down on your heating bills.
Now, I've heard people. I've seen and spoken to people who, when you mention hoodie, screw up their noses. How could you possibly wear one of those?
It's in the same realm as Crocs.
Crocs. No, the Crocs are back in. And you might tease people with Crocs, but they're fashionable again. Everything comes around in circles. Flare jeans are coming back. Anyway, so we said to the kids just recently, we can go up to the ice cream parlour, but you can only have an ice cream if you wear an hoodie. And the look on their faces, like, go out in public in these things, even though we've gone for walks late at night after dinner with these hoodie-ons down the park, but there's hardly anyone down there. But now they're up on the main street at the ice cream parlour. So I'm trying to create this new fashion, this new trend that people in our suburb go and get ice cream during winter. Go and get ice cream at night after dinner. Go for a walk. Go and get a nice scoop of ice cream from the ice cream store up on the main street, wearing an hoodie, basically saying, "I don't care what I look like. I'm warm. I do not fear the judgment of others." And I won't mention his name or who he is, but. Spoke to a friend who, when I mentioned that we go for a walk in the hoodies, "What? You go for a walk in your hoodie?" I go, "Yeah." "Oh, why would you do that?" I said, "Because you wouldn't." And he went, "What?" I said, "Because you don't have the confidence to do it." "Oh, I'm not stupid enough to look like that." That's again because you don't have the confidence to do it. "Oh, I'm plenty confident." You're insecure because you worry about what people think about you. You wouldn't wear it because you'd fear their judgment. And you go, "Oh," he couldn't understand what I was saying. But I'm basically saying to him, the reason why you wouldn't do it is because you fear judgment. Look at you in your nice shoes and your nice car and your nice house and all that sort of stuff. You're basically saying, I need people to think well of me, so I wouldn't wear those hoodie things. But that's exactly what I'm trying to teach the kids. We shouldn't fear what other people think.
Well, that also leads us on to that you're actually not judging others, you're judging yourself through others, which we speak about a fair bit, but it's
now in a few of our courses, isn't it?
Yeah.
So try this on for size. This is hard for people to get their head around. I've had so many people kind of push back a little bit on this, that we are not judging anyone. We are judging ourselves through them. So nobody judges you. They judge themselves through you. So
well, I say to people, have you ever said out loud or thought, I would never wear that when somebody walks past?
Yeah,
For example, our
like an
mate with the
hoodie.
hoodie, I would never wear that.
Yeah.
So even just the statement, I would never wear that.
Yeah.
So the fact that someone else is wearing it, you're not actually judging them. It's the fact that you yourself would never wear that.
Yeah, you're
So-
judging yourself through them. And I don't know if we've done this example in the podcast, but I'll repeat it. There's nothing wrong with repeating things. I was running a leadership course, and when I got into the room, there was a screen at the front and a table about 1.5 meters in front of that in the middle of the room, and then the chairs were set up in a semicircle. And I'm looking at it going, I don't like where that table is. It's kind of blocking the front. So I went to move it, but it was bolted to the ground. Who bolts a desk? Anyway, so there was only a little bit of space in the front of the desk where the screen was, between the screen and the desk. And then there was a big space in front of the desk where the chairs were. So I thought, I'm not going to stand up the back there. There's not enough space. So I walked around in front of the desk. And so the desk is behind me, and then the students are sitting in kind of like a semicircle around me. They didn't have desks. And the lady who set up the room, she looked at me and she said, why aren't you standing up the front? Why aren't you standing up there? And it was the perfect timing because we were teaching confidence in this leadership course. And I said to her, if you were doing the training, where would you stand? She said, up there. And I said, you're judging me, aren't you? And she went, no. And I said, that's okay. I said, where would you stand if you were doing the training? She said, up there on the other side of the desk.
Behind
I
the
said,
desk.
Yeah. I said, and because I'm not standing up there, you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, aren't you? She went, I don't know if I'd use those words. So it was, well, that's what you would do, and I'm not doing what you would do, so it's making you question things. And she went, yeah. I said, it's okay. You're not judging me. You're judging yourself through me. And she went, no, I'm judging you. And I went, no, you're not. You're judging yourself through me. And she said, I don't get it. And I said, well, you need me to be standing up the front, which is what you would do. You need me to be up there so that you feel comfortable about what you would do. The fact that I'm not doing what you would do makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. So you're not judging me, you're judging yourself through me. And she said, I don't get it. I said, you will later. And then anyway, at the end of the workshop, she came up to me and she said, I get it. I said, what's changed? She said, yeah, it's like when you say to somebody, oh, I wouldn't wear that. Yeah, you're saying, I wouldn't wear that. If that was me wearing that, I would be judging myself.
So she was saying, I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
wouldn't
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
And so that's really what it is. No one's judging you. They're judging themselves through you. And if you can put that into your head and let that resonate for a while, geez, it frees you up. Yeah. So when somebody is looking at you and you're wearing an hoodie in an ice cream parlour and they're screwing up their nose at themselves. What they're basically showing you is, I am insecure, and what you're wearing and being confident in it is making me feel insecure. So just leave it with them. Don't worry. Don't bring on their insecurity onto you. Yeah.
When we were talking about doing this podcast, it got me thinking about the goals that people set, and I have been guilty of this, where it's not based necessarily on what I want out of life and like deep down rooted what I want in life. It's what the judgment. So, for example, a car of a certain brand or a certain position, to be, and in flying it was chief pilot, which I became, and then I wanted to become captain, and then you try for training captain, etc. after that. So it's always reaching for the next thing, which is great that you're striving. However, it wasn't based necessarily on, and I'm admitting this truthfully, that
We
it
all
wasn't
go through this.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily based on what I truly wanted. It was what I thought was expected. And also the not only expected, but to get the kudos from my peers, my friends, my ego could be stroked. Certain, and you see it, people buy certain labels in clothing and accessories, and
Guilty as charged.
but it's that thing of, do you do it because you truly like and appreciate that particular item, or could you get the same thing cheaper that is as functional, but it had no label or a cheap label on
Yeah.
it would, in amongst your peers, you'd fear the judgment of them, oh, they can't afford it, or they're not successful because they only have Kmart or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wisdom or age thing that
It is. You get to
it's
adjust your
now
mindset.
like, I don't care.
Why would
if
you
it's
care?
if it's functional, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think finally I've got the confidence finally where I'm not fearing the judgment of others. I'm willing to put myself out there to say things, feel things, do things, wear things that aren't the norm, necessarily following the fashion, or and maybe even not doing something even though it's expected, because it doesn't resonate. Oh, it does. The judgment,
you're free. The freedom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And growing up a shy, insecure person, most of my life, my biggest fear was what other people thought. It is such a freeing concept to no longer fear the judgment of others. And it reminds me of another thing that we teach, that what is criticism?
Yeah, it's a label.
It's a label, yeah. So, for example, if you said to me, Guy, I don't like that T-shirt, that isn't criticism. That's just information coming from you to me. It only becomes criticism when I get out my little sticker book and I find the one that says criticism, and I put that sticker on what you've just said. Oh, Michelle just criticised me. So it's, up until that point, it was just information. It was just information
feedback,
about feedback, or just knowledge. It's just information about what you think about this T-shirt. So you're saying, I don't like that T-shirt. That's just Michelle doesn't like this T-shirt. But it only turns into criticism when I put a label, a sticker on it that says, I was criticised. Shakespeare, there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. That was in Hamlet, I found out the other day. I've always been quoting that. I didn't know which of his plays it was in. But yeah, it's just a label we stick on things. We have so much more control over this fear of judgment than I realised growing up. It doesn't need to be.
I know. If I could rewind, not that I want to at all,
No,
but the knowledge and the wisdom of, and getting to the stage, and again, I'm old.
We're
old. Yeah, we're old.
We're older now.
Getting to the stage where really you shed all of that expectation, the needing to conform, the needing for approval. Just,
I love those memes. I've got 0 fucks to give.
Yeah.
Or, are we allowed to say that word?
I don't know.
We did. We're going to have to put a language warning on this one now. I think that's the first time we've used the F word.
I have heard, our first episode.
Was it?
Someone was shocked that I saw.
Okay. Really? Were they judging you, Michelle?
Maybe.
Was that criticism?
It wasn't criticism.
No.
They were just information.
Information. It was information until we label it as criticism. Yeah, this is something I've been working on personally for a long time. Just remove the fear of judgment, because that's what true confidence is. Confidence is when you stop fearing the judgment of others and being shy, sensitive, as I keep repeating. I was. It was a journey. It was challenging. It was really challenging to overcome my insecurities and my shyness and all the things that kind of held me back early on in life. I was getting good at stuff when I was young, but I did not have any confidence because I feared the judgment of others constantly.
Detaching feedback from ego is huge, but look, I'm a work in progress. I still, someone says something and if I start to feel like they're attacking me personally or my ego, I sit with it for a bit and my way is I write as bullet points or a list and reframe it as feedback. So I need to externally write that down.
Yeah.
But once you've done it, then, you can have your 10-minute hissy fit or emotional whatever, sulk, and then actually look at it and go, oh, hang on, it's not about me.
Yeah.
Or it's something I did. Yes, I take, ownership of that, but it can either be repaired, improved, or it's a lesson or whatever. It's feedback.
It's a journey. I'll never get there. I'll never get to the point where I no longer ever fear the judgment of others. And it's really important to clarify that we're not saying that you stop caring.
Oh, no, that's right. No, you
It's
don't
about stop
caring about others.
Yeah.
You stop That's
Care
right.
deeply, do not fear judgment.
Correct.
Because if you care deeply, then you're open to listening to other people's ideas. You're open to seeing it from their perspective. You're not going to be labeling things as criticism. You're going, oh, I care about your opinion. Tell me more about your opinion, even though if traditionally you would have called it criticism. Because if you don't care, you're disregarding. If you're disregarding, you're lacking compassion and you're probably arrogant as well. And so it's important for people to realise we're not saying stop caring about what other people think. We're saying don't fear what other people think, because there is a very, very big difference between somebody who doesn't care and somebody who doesn't fear. Somebody who doesn't care disregards others and they look down on others. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being more like Muhammad Ali. He was supremely arrogant about his ability to box, but he wasn't a better person because of it. He was a humble and compassionate human being. That's the sort of empathetic. That's the sort of character that we want to move towards, where you don't fear the judgment of others, but you care deeply about everyone.
I like in some of the workshops you run, and you invite people to listen to our podcast, and you say, take a listen, and if we're shit, don't listen.
It seems to work. We look on the website and people are click all afternoon.
Yes, all over the world, yes.
It is. We're getting so much feedback around the world. So to everyone who's listening overseas and people that we've never met in person, thank you so much for joining our crew of listeners and the feedback that we're getting. Thank you so much. It makes this even more fun for Michelle and I, because the reason why we do this is that we think the world will be a better place when we all become our best selves.
Absolutely.
And we're hoping to pass on wisdom that we've acquired from other people.
And we want to keep acquiring from other people. So if you have amazing ideas or some little rule that you do have in your life, please let us know.
Yeah, and none of this wisdom is ours. If we can quote Einstein and Newton, that I love, I don't know which one said this, but they both said something along the same lines. If I have seen further, it's because I stood on the shoulders of the giants who came before us. This is not our knowledge. This is just wisdom we've collected and we're passing it on.
That's right. Repackaging it.
Yes. I like that one. That was fun.
Yes, it was.
All right.
Thanks, Guy.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
You're such a clown.
The clown.
Lady Captain. There we go.
And who's going to listen to this? Maybe our mums.
Thanks, Mum.